Happy Friday, everyone. How are we? We're on a different day today, and wow, it's June 30th. Big day in the real estate world and the lending world. For those of you who are not involved in a transaction or in real estate right this second, this is our biggest day of the month, right?
Correct, absolutely.
Welcome, Jane.
Thanks, Lisa.
This is Jane Floyd with NFM Lending. I asked her to join us, and she's going to talk about a little bit about her experience and why I invited her here. That'll become very relevant here in a few moments. But in essence, we had a ton of questions all the time, really, about do I buy now? Do I not buy now? What's the consequence if I wait? What if I wait? What is interest rate? What's the interest rate plan for the feds? What's that really going to do to me? So I asked Jane to come in and really talk to that and give some perspective from your vantage point with being in lending for quite some time. So I am going to let Jane introduce herself, and then we'll get started with some questions.
So I'm Jane Floyd with NFM Lending. Been in the business for 25 years locally here. So I've been through all the cycles, Lisa. When I first got in 1991, interest rates were at 10.5%. So I've been through the ups, the downs, the crash, and
Still here.
Still plugging away.
Still working away. So some of you have not lived through that crash. Some of you have seen your parents potentially move through that crash. I've seen it myself personally. Was hurt by it, and still here as well. And thankfully, everything kind of comes full circle. So here we are again. Lending is different than it was back in the day. So that is actually one question. Let's start there. One question that I always get is, are we going to have a bust again? Aren't we at the top of the market? How can this continue? And my perspective, given that I've lived through it from a ownership perspective as well as a lending perspective and a selling perspective, is that during the time of the rise to the top before the crash, lending was crazy. You could get a loan if you had a pulse. So what was your experience back then versus what it's like now, which I think some of those stops, from my vantage point, will prohibit a true crash from happening like we had?
I 100% agree, and actually I've been asked this question twice this week. Oh, I think I see stated income coming back. We're heading right back into that direction. Absolutely not, Lisa. From the standpoint of guidelines, that you still have extreme qualifying guidelines. Fannie Mae has certain ratios that you have to meet. You have to, you're talking collateral, the property, you're talking credit scores, and then you're talking income. So those guidelines, although they've lightened up just a touch, I do not believe we will ever get back to where we were prior, because there's no way you're going to see people getting loans that had no jobs. Literally, I'll never forget when that came across my desk. I saw it. I still remember sitting there, a no job loan. That's not going to happen. Not going to happen at all. The defaults, as you see, we've weeded through most of the short sales. The default rate has gone down just excessively. So no, I don't think we'll see that, Lisa.
Okay. I mean, I don't think so either. I mean, the market is, it'll go through a cycle, and the cycle will repeat. But to the travesty that we saw back in that day, based on, not my opinion, but also vetted through financial people throughout the country, I just don't really see that bust that we've had in the past happen as horrifically as we saw before. So I'm glad you think the same way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's probably comforting to a lot of people. The other thing that we get asked about is the feds. So you'll hear in the news, feds are contemplating doing a rate hike, and people always ask, what's that mean? Does that mean like I should get a pre-approval now and secure something now, or can I have a longer rate lock, or what can I do? Should I be concerned or should I not? So what's your perspective on the federal government doing rate hikes across the course of maybe the year and a half?
So to answer your first question, you can't get locked in without a property. So an interest rate is locked into a borrower and a property. So I think that in itself, for some people, there should be a sense of urgency between appreciation, which you're seeing, and you can probably talk about what you're seeing in the market, and rates ticking up. You're going to lose buying power. but you cannot lock in the interest rate, prior to having a signed contract.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when the Fed's rate, definitely rates they went back down. Everybody saw that. Now they're ticking back up. And so if you take, for instance, so many people are extremely payment conscious. I think even more so than before the crash. So if you just take a simple $200,000 loan,
Mm-hmm.
rates go up a half a point, it's $60 on your payment. 1 point, which I feel is we very well could see, next year or a year and a half away. So, that's $120 on a $200,000 loan. Double that, $400,000 loan. You're talking $240,000 a month on your payment. So you're definitely going to be losing buying power. You can't worry about it, but if you are thinking about purchasing, I think now is the time. And to answer back to your other question, a lot of people see our prices have been increasing, but I think, Lisa, correct me, aren't we like top 3 places, like right now, on people moving to our area? So many people are like, we're going to see the crash that we saw in 2008. I don't say I lived through it and owned real estate, but I don't think we're going to see it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. The demographic that we have here, for example, in Tampa Bay is radically different than some of the other markets in the country that had a very, very big consequence to the crash. We have second home buyers here, absolutely, but there's a big demographic here that really is a population that lives here, works here, still raises children here. So I think that helps balance out the market and the demand for housing. There's a lot of new jobs that are being created here, thankfully, so that drives the market presence for supply and demand. More people are coming here and want to be here, so therefore it drives up the appreciation of land value just generally. So it's a balancing effect, I agree.
Absolutely.
I have a question here from Leonard.
Sure.
He said, what are the benefits of getting a VA home loan?
Oh, so Leonard, VA loan is my favorite loan to do. So if you're fortunate enough to have that, you have to have been a veteran. So 0 down, up to $424,100 with no monthly mortgage insurance. And the interest rate on a VA loan is slightly better than on a conventional loan. So best loan out there, in my opinion, if you are eligible. Again, it can only be a veteran and a spouse. You can't have a girlfriend, a fiance, a parent, or a child on that loan.
Okay, so the message is, I think if you're a veteran, get married. I don't know.
Yeah, I had 2 in my 25-year career to qualify, get married.
Yeah.
So they could use their VA loan.
Absolutely. That's a great question, Leonard. Leonard is a police officer here in St. Pete.
Oh, cool.
So let's talk about police officers, city employees, people that serve our great city and public. Do you have any special programs for what I call local heroes?
We don't. I don't, Lisa. We do have the DPA, the Down Payment Assistance Program, $15,000. There are income restrictions on it. There's a lot of restrictions on it. There's a payback period. So it's something, if you're interested, you want to call me and get more details. Personally, if someone has a VA or can go FHA or conventional or get a gift, long term, they're going to be better off not using it, but it is available.
It's an option.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Next question would be, why in the world would I need to talk to a lender before I start looking for a house?
Come on, Lisa.
I didn't make these up.
No, that's such a great question, because I know you get it all the time.
We do.
So forget the pre-approval part. We can talk about that if you want to. But the most important part to that question is because you don't know what you don't know. So many times I need to understand the 2 things. What do you want your payment to be and your cash to close? Unrealistic expectations. People, you may put them in your car. Lisa, show me $300,000 houses. You go out, you spend your time, they get to me. Yeah, but I only have 5% to put down, and I want a payment, a total of $1,200. Well, that's not going to happen. So it's just very important that we sit down and go through the payments with them, understanding it's not just principal and interest, it's taxes, it's insurance, it's CDD, it's association fees, it's PMI, all those other factors, and really, so they can see what is the best program for them.
Yes. Let me just highlight what she's saying. This is the thing that I want you to think about if you're in the market to buy a house. What Jane just said is she just passed by it, like, because she's in the business, and I get it. There's things that when you use a mortgage calculator inside a typical, you Google mortgage calculator, right, and you'll pull up on whatever website, there's 10,000 of them. What they fail to help you understand is exactly what Jane just alluded to, and that there are property taxes that you need to basically figure out, and it's not always what is completely apparent on the listing. I will say number one. Number two is there's taxes associated with that house, insurance, mortgage insurance potentially. If it's not always calculated correctly, there are lots of options that you can get very creative with that aren't really being considered when you use a general calculator that's online. So better off, I agree, to basically vet out really what your true options are given what you're talking about, payment, cash to close, but all the other variables that are going to become really important to you as you figure out your monthly budget for how you want to live your life. So great advice. I like that.
Absolutely.
Who's FHA? And why should I care? People ask me, Leonard says, what's the advantage of using a VA loan? People always say, what is this FHA? And do I need that? Should I care about it? And obviously they haven't really spoken to a lender by that time when they're asking us the question. But can you just talk generally about different types of loans, FHA being one of them, obviously, because the question is being asked? But
absolutely. So FHA loan is insured by the Federal Housing Administration. FHA has less stringent guidelines from the standpoint of credit, Lisa. You can have a much lower credit score on an FHA and a VA loan and not be penalized on the interest rate. The debt-to-income ratios can be higher on an FHA loan. Now, FHA limitation in Hillsborough, Pasco, Pinellas are $275 and change now. So it's
$275,000. So again, I'll translate a little bit because she's doing this for 25 years,
Sorry.
not all of us have. So she's talking about the FHA loan limit within our region here is $275,000 and change-ish. So that's your maximum loan amount that you could take. Sorry.
No, thank you. And now anybody, you can make $1 million. There's no income limitations,
Right.
so you can make $1 million a year, and you could get an FHA loan. The other thing, sometimes it's more for a first-time home buyer, or again, lower credit score. However, there's a lot of people, even my age, buying second homes that have had short sales, foreclosures, and bankruptcies. And the FHA guidelines on those, the restrictions, the time periods are less. So that would be another reason to take an FHA loan. Minimum down, Lisa, only 3.5% down.
It's cheap.
So
you get into a house with 3.5% down. That's very economical.
Period. And it can all be a gift. The seller can, if you can negotiate it, can pay closing costs and prepaid. So you can get in with with less money down.
So what she's highlighting, I think, is another important component. I often hear, oh, you know what? I'm going to wait. I'm going to need to save a little bit more money. That's the cool part about this, is that the 3.5% on an FHA loan, for example, if you're buying at that price point or want that type of loan, you can really use down payment money from someone else.
Yep.
So mom, dad, grandma, rich aunt, I don't care who it is, you can get that money, right? And so you can pay them back over time and still get into a house today or tomorrow or next month, but not have to see the price escalation for either interest rates or pricing. So I think that's a great sort of find there to think about.
The other thing, over the past probably year, a lot of millennials, college grads wanting to buy, they have this in their head, Lisa. I can't buy until I save up 20%. I need 20% because I don't want PMI.
Yeah.
And when you hear that, so when I sit down and show them the differences, I mean, you can get rid of PMI after 24 months, but the difference that if the rates go up a point and a half, and like you said, appreciation, you said it's around 10%-ish. It depends on the area.
Right.
I mean, look what you're losing by waiting just to save. If you have over a 760 credit score for conventional, the PMI is so minimal. And many times advisors will advise their clients at any level, put less money down right now because rates are still so low and you're getting a tax deduction on that. So don't put all that cash down.
Makes sense, right?
Right.
So I call it the rule of first knowledge. And what that means for me when I think about that is the rule of first knowledge is just what you said. I must save to get 20% down. That's sort of my first rule of thinking. That's ingrained in me probably by someone. Maybe it's my parents.
Grandparents.
Yeah, right? Somebody's saying that to me, or you, or whoever you might be, and you think, I must do that. However, when you get together with a professional like Jane, for example, you can think through sort of the time value of money. Does it make sense for me to do exactly what you're suggesting, as opposed to waiting that out? So I think that's good advice, to really kind of look at the options there.
Yeah, every situation's different.
Absolutely. How many minutes are we at, Estelle?
Believe we're at
I don't.
about like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Okay, so I feel like we're talking a lot, and I don't want to keep going because I know it's Friday. On a holiday weekend. So we'll take a few more questions that we were asked. All right. Does it ding my credit score by having a pre-approval done?
That's such a good question. Because you probably hear that all the time.
I do.
I don't want my credit pulled.
Yeah, people will say, I don't really want to call a lender yet. I just want to look around, see what's in the market. I don't want these people to keep dinging my credit if they, if I need to do a refresh or something like that. So what goes on with that?
So honestly, the answer is a pull on your credit is not going to hurt. Sometimes it doesn't even move at a point, Lisa. You have to have your credit pulled. No lender can give you any accurate information without seeing what your credit score is. And a lot of times, honestly, I find, again, after so long, many times someone's so adamant about not having it pulled, there's a reason. Because you need to find out, like the PMI, the interest rates, all that is affected by your credit score, your debt to income ratio. The credit score is just so critical. And sometimes there'll be, like I have one right now, very high-end buyer. He thought his credit score was 805, and it was 4 months ago. But he had somebody just placed a tiny little collection on there, and it dropped his score 150 points. He had no idea. Wow. So it gives us time to help you clean it up.
Yeah.
And we do that all the time, Lisa. And sometimes help people raise their score.
Yeah.
Like if it's a conventional loan and they've got a 676 credit score. Well, if I can get you to 680 by, maybe paying something down a few $100s, that's going to get you a better interest rate. So it is just critical, and you're not going to get a pre-approval from any reputable lender without a credit pull.
You got that right, and I say amen to that. At this particular juncture, people like yourself are here to help, and the only way to get help and to get real, true professional recommendations is to give you the tool set to be able to do that. So don't be fearful for somebody that you do know, not necessarily someone that you found over the internet, to pull your credit so they can actually get you a qualification that makes sense. Because a lot of times what you'll see are teaser rates. I'm sure you have an opinion about this. Teaser rates that are people that you'll see it online, here are the best rates available in the market. And you can tell me, it probably goes back to just what you said, that it's dependent upon probably their very high credit score, all myriads of things to get that rate. So talk to me about rates and what they're probably seeing, because I hear that a lot. I'll hear, well, I see that the best market rate available is 3.86 or something like that, and why would I want to look anywhere else? I know where I'm going to go. What do you think?
Well, it's exactly what you said, Lisa. So you're looking at that, and you're not there. There's asterisks at the bottom. So not only does obviously credit score is number one factor, loan amount is a huge factor on scores. But the best thing, though, you see an interest rate, a low interest rate that's so much lower than anybody's. We can get you that rate, but you're going to pay for it. And so there's just so many different factors that go into it. So and 9 times out of 10, if somebody comes to me and says that, get me a fee sheet from that internet lender. Let's look at it. Let's lay it side by side. And inevitably, there are fees to buy that rate down.
Buy it
So
down, yeah.
you can get a lower rate than you're seeing, but it's buying it down.
Yeah. So again, it comes back to transparency, and we're partners together, right? So being a partner with a great lender like this, and obviously being a partner with a client like yourself, for example, those things are critically important, because at the end of the day, we want happy clients and happy transactions so that we have a referral base. And so you can rest assured that, between Jane and myself, speaking professionally, we're never going to lead you down a path that doesn't make sense, doesn't allow you to understand your options clearly, and we're not more expensive. We're just giving you actually the true picture of like what's going to go on for you financially. So thank you for that, for clarifying. One more question, that's going to be it. All right. How do I calculate my payment by thousands in a sales price quickly?
So I'll answer that quick, and we touched on it a little bit ago. So if you want me to say, okay, let's just use going interest rates, give or take a few dollars. For every $1,000, it's really like $4.92. But let's say $5. Okay, so $100,000 loan, $500. That's the problem though you just alluded to earlier. So $500 on a $100,000 loan, or $1,000 on a $200,000 loan. That's your principal and interest payment. The problem is you're going online. It's all those other things that people, when they call and they go, oh, I was looking at that $300,000 house and I see that my payment's going to be $1,300. But they're not calculating in all the other factors, Lisa. So there really is no quick. I can give you the quick per thousand for P&I, but that's it.
Yeah. Yep. I understand completely. So that's helpful. At least it's a starting point. To start to think through just the basics.
The basics. And that's what I tell people, your clients. And Lisa says we're partners. We are. And just so you know, Lisa gets nothing
that's true.
out of referring her clients to me, except that the communication, open, honest communication, and knowing that we're gonna take your deal to closing, and we're here to create raving fans. Both of us are.
Thank you for that clarification, because that's true. You may think that, oh, this agent or that agent steering me to someone for a particular reason, for a financial gain. That's absolutely not true. You're right. We take zero out of it. All we are looking for is a partnership so that we can make sure that the transaction is successful, our clients are treated well and are very happy and feel like they were well represented in the deal. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that's going to be it, because we're out of time. I wish you such a great weekend. Happy 4th of July, and we will see you next week. Take care.
4th.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.